So we are in the height of primary season in Illinois. As you know, I've been covering all the races that we can talk about. We've had on countless candidates from across the state, and it has been such a fun experience. But just like with the Wisconsin governor's race and when we had Joseph Ecke on, I kind of thought that I don't want to talk to just one of the candidates. I want to talk to someone who's been observing all these races, who has been in the circles where a lot of these important discussions have been happening. And I think we have a lot of value in providing that sort of analysis. And so joining me to talk about this very exciting moment in Illinois politics is our returning guest, political activist and influencer, Liz Minnella. Liz, thanks so much for joining us. It's great to have you back on the Sean S. Show again.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. I'm thrilled to be here.
It's great to have you on. I think in this moment in Illinois right now, where literally every seat you can think of is open, someone said for the first time in like 40 years we've had this much action. I think it's so important that we highlight all the races and have folks like yourself to have those discussions. I mean, the candidates are great and cool and all that, but they're
That's
always about raising a little more money.
right. Yep. Yeah, what an exciting time. What a privilege to be, in the mix and working in politics and having a following and just like having this opportunity at this moment in our history, especially when federally things feel so heavy and can feel really discouraging. And especially, yeah, for the last, I feel like I really started becoming more involved in politics post Trump won and have now been active in Illinois politics for about the last 4 years. And in that time, it felt like, when it came to elections, they were often a foregone conclusion. We were raising for candidates out of state. If you are a person who is anywhere under 45, you haven't really had a lot of Democratic primary opportunities for statewide office or even congressional if you're in 7, 8, 9, 2. These are people who have held on to these seats for decades, and they are all up. I remember at some point in 2023, starting to talk to some people who are thinking about running for, if this person retire, if Durbin retires, right? That was the whole, that's really
Right.
what unlocked all
It
of
was a
this.
cascade.
Yeah, which is another reason we should have term limits. People shouldn't be sitting in these seats for decades because there were so many talented people who have not there since there has been no movement, have just been kind of waiting. So Durbin decides to retire. At least two congressional seats are up for grabs because of the congressmen and women who are running for that seat. And then everybody underneath that then is running for those positions. And then, like in Illinois 9, Laura Fine is our current state senator. She's running for the seat vacated for the person who is running for Senate. So all of these things are kind of, oh no, sorry, she's not. Jan Schakowsky's retiring. So two
Yeah.
big Schakowsky and Durbin. I remember one time thinking about all of this back in 2023, and I was like, holy, I don't know if we can swear on your show,
I,
but
I think you can.
holy shit, this is going to be insane. I started calling it the Great 26 Shakeup. And from, back probably a year ago, writing this on a whiteboard for my friends, like showing, okay, this person's going to run, then Patrick's going to run for this seat, then she's going to run for this seat. It's here. It's 11 weeks away. We're in it. It's exciting. I think a lot of Midwest nice people don't like primaries because pits friends against friends and neighbors against neighbors. But I think this is the fucking lifeblood of our democracy. I think it's so
Yeah.
exciting. And you know what? Like, I heard Gretchen Whitmer say this once, that in politics you have to have a thick skin and a short memory. Like, if you get behind someone, you pick them, you donate to one candidate, not the other, you still see the person at soccer practice, because for a lot of these races, like, these are our community members. These are people that are in our lives for real, who are now running for United States Senate or running for United States Congress or running for state Senate. And it's like, listen, get in there, mix it up, get your friends and family excited, get everybody to the voting booth on March 17th. We will help you here process this and figure out which candidates align best with your values because they're all Democrats, right? So you do have to do a little bit more research, which is why I think people shy away from primaries. But like, this is our moment, people.
Yep. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's been 40 years since we've had this kind of action. I mean, if we stick to this record, I will be 60 the next time we have this sort of stuff. So, I'm trying to take so it's a bit of a time, I'm guessing, but it is still much fun. You're right.
78. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's-
That's I'll be the perfect age to be a senator. Um,
exactly.
and yeah, I think it is just all the more reason we need attention and effort put into these primaries. And I really want to point this out that this past fall, we saw Democrats fold when we were trying to hold them accountable for the ACA subsidies and use
Yeah.
that as a bargaining chip with the continuing resolution to fund the government. And we saw certain Democrats fold and vote outside of the way the rest of the caucus, and I would say the rest of the party, wanted them to vote. And I didn't hear enough people say, how did those people get into office? Like the people of New Hampshire, super mad at their person for folding, but did you vote in the primary? Did you take an active role to say, Janine Shaheen is like so establishment, or she's so like she's not aligned with the values and desires of the people of the state. I'm going to work to try to get in somebody who's a little bit less establishment, who probably wouldn't have folded in the face of that mounting pressure. So primaries are so important. You cannot criticize the Democratic Party unless you are taking an active role in the primaries.
I totally agree. And that is one of the biggest things that I hear. I mean, I knock on doors too for some folks, and I'm also at these events, and that is the one thing I hear often. It's like people will be complaining constantly about Democratic Party officials. And it's always like, did you vote? Did you vote in a primary? If you didn't vote in a primary, then don't complain. I mean, you kind of gave up your right to have a say in all of this.
Right.
And then the people that do vote, you know, those are the types to maybe stick to this sort of thing. So maybe we need to crowd them out. But I
Yeah.
mean, right. And that's what this stuff is for anyway. And I think that's what's so special about having like 50 something candidates across all these races is that you have 50 different voices talking about 50 different topics all the time. You're bound to bring in some more people who otherwise probably would not have cared at all about this stuff.
Yeah. And if you are paying attention, which you probably are if you're watching this show, this is your moment to move yourself up the ladder of engagement. So to work for one of these candidates, to go like pick up the phone, go to their offices, go canvass for them, help host a fundraiser for them, host a coffee for them. Like people running for Congress right now, like they are still in the nitty gritty of trying to immerse themselves in your community and meet your friends and neighbors. Like that helps. There was a special election in South Carolina 2 days ago that was decided by 21 votes.
Wow.
It was a Trump plus 15 district, and the Democrats swung it 15 points back and neck and lost by 21 votes. So you hosting a coffee for that person and having 15 friends show up, that matters.
Mhm.
So like this is the time, get creative, phone bank and door knock for candidates, but also use your influence, whether that's a social media platform, whether that's an address book that you have that's a mile long of, your book club and your Mahjong club, or, think about who it is in your district. I walk everywhere with lit from my favorite candidates. So when I go into a store and I'm talking to people about anything and I remind them that there's a primary and I tell them who who my picks are for the congressperson in their district for the statewide offices. And I think it is impactful. Like every little bit helps. You can be an ambassador for a campaign and the candidates that you care about everywhere. I think we're kind of conditioned in Illinois from the presidential election that it's like, it doesn't matter. Does my Harris yard sign matter? Like your yard sign matters, your conversations every day matter.
It has a big effect. And I always like to share this story. Like, even in my neighborhood, we are not the type to know each other's politics, or at least until then. I stuck a yard sign in my yard for my state rep, who is a dear friend. And as soon as I put that yard sign in, literally within just the next day, there were Biden or Harris Walz signs all across that neighborhood. You would have never thought that
Yeah.
they'd be Harris supporters
Yeah.
like that, but it takes just one person doing it, and not to, toot my horn, but like she
Oh,
asked very nicely, and I put it in. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
yeah, the
And
same
that's
thing
all it
happened. My
takes.
mom put she had never talked to her across the street neighbor either, by the way. Like that's another thing that's kind of wrong with the way we live our lives right now. Like, listen,
Yeah,
her neighbor goes to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, comes back at 7 o'clock at night. She never sees the person. They don't have a dog. Like we just aren't. I think maybe she met him when she moved in, but she was out there putting her yard sign, and he came out and said, "I would like to get one." And they talked all about the election, and now they have this connection, and they do kind of seek each other out and talk about, wow, can you hear, can you believe what just happened? And we need that right now. We need that community. So
that's great.
yeah, I think sometimes people can be a little nervous about sharing their politics or displaying their politics with a yard sign, but like if not now, when, right? They're grabbing people in the streets, they're shooting people in their cars. Like if this isn't the time for you to stand up and be firm in what you believe, like when is?
Well, yeah, it's very true. Well, let's talk about all of these many races across the
Yeah.
state. I want to start with the top of the ballot, which is, of course, U.S. Senate. I know that you are pretty outspoken in your support for Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. We had her on back in November, I think, or October. It was a great conversation, and I mean, of all the candidates, she was actually the first to get in touch, and so to
Yeah.
credit where credit is due. I mean, she is engaging. But give me your take on the field, and I guess maybe not the whole field, but like our top candidates.
Yes. Okay. This race in Illinois 9 are lighting up the comments section. Like I have not seen engagement like this on a local issue ever. People are opinionated about these races. So in this Senate, so this is every single person in the state of Illinois is going to be voting for this on March 17th. We have three top candidates. There are other people in the race, but they are polling at less than 1%. There's no statistical chance of them winning. They will, as I say, they're a spoiler candidate. They will just pull votes from somebody else and likely make the more establishment candidate win. So take that as you will. Like, don't be a Jill Stein voter. Don't use this as an opportunity to like stick it to the establishment. You're just going to make the more establishment candidate win, who in my mind is Raj Krishnamurthy. He is a current congressman in Illinois, 8, right? Or 7?
Yes, 8. Yeah.
And he has been in Congress for 8 years. He has never been the lead sponsor or authored a single bill. He worked on like 4 bills that renamed postal service post offices. He has spent his entire time in Congress raising for his eventual Senate run. And credit where credit is due, he is a brilliant fundraiser. It is a skill. It is a tough skill. I've done it. It's difficult. You have to be effing shameless. And you have to let a lot of people for a lot of money. He has raised over $20 million. And as I said in a video that I posted to my page, in order to raise that for a seat that a Democrat is going to win, to give you context here, the only person in the entire country that has raised more money than Raj Krishnamurthy is Jon Ossoff. That is the most hotly contested seat in 2026. So that there is one Democratic Senate seat that is up where Trump won that state in 2024, and that is Georgia. So Republicans and Democrats are pouring unprecedented amounts of money. There has never been a Senate race that expensive. I think he's at like 30 million is the last time I checked, and Raja's at 24 for a primary in Illinois. It's honestly a weird amount of money to raise
Mhm.
for this, and it's completely insurmountable. Like
Yep.
Juliana could never raise that much money. So he will beat her on fundraising, and he will already has a million commercials out there. And when he gets to, because right now, I mean, a poll just came out that has him at a pretty commanding lead. When he gets to Congress, he will be the worst senator. He will make Dick Durbin look like the greatest, like, progressive activist you've ever seen. Like, this man will never answer his phone. He will never talk to a single constituent. He won't meet with advocacy groups. Like, he is just not interested in serving everyday people. He will just continue to fundraise. Dick Durbin is the head of the DSCC. He's pretty much like the second most powerful person in the Senate, simply because he has been able to fundraise so well because he's had a safe blue seat for the last 30 years. And you know what? He's been pretty light on leading legislation. Tammy Duckworth has done way more than him on like writing bills, passing bills, spending political capital to make political change. Dick Durbin doesn't really do that. He hoards political capital for himself, and Raja will be exactly the same. It makes me so angry. Like, I have been saying this whole year, I'm quitting politics if Raja wins, and now I guess I'm going to have to take that back. But I still have a lot of hope in this race. And the hope that I have is because of voices like us. Raja can buy TV ads out the wazoo. And in the old way of thinking and polling and doing politics, that mattered. But we see candidates like Zohran Mandami come in and have a way different strategy and lean on new media, not buy as much TV time, not have the same kind of establishment money, and still win. So there's still a big part of me that thinks that we can pull this off, but what we need is for like grassroots voices to talk about this candidate, to get her name out there. She is such an incredible person. She got into politics because she wanted to change our healthcare system. She saw how difficult it was to care for her dying mother and care for children and be a working parent. Like, she is a human being who has had the challenges, and that passion and like North Star has guided her all throughout her political career. She started in the started as a state representative and then was tapped to be Governor Pritzker's LG. The Pritzker-Stratton administration has made just incredible strides in their last several years, including an assault weapons ban, raising the minimum wage. We are an island of reproductive health care and freedom in a
Wow.
sea of red states that are taking every right that you can imagine away from women when it comes to autonomy over their own body. She's a fighter. She's an incredible person. You've had the opportunity to interview her, as have I. She's just gives me so much hope. And I know that if we can get her there and she can be our representative in the Senate, I know when we get back power and when it's time for us to pass laws that align with the things that we want, like universal background checks and codifying rope, she knows how to get it done. She has background as a mediator. Like, she knows how to write bills, and she will do it. She will spend the political capital. Raja will not. He will be trying to be Dick Durbin part two. He will be trying to raise as much money for the DSCC as he possibly can. He will never answer our calls, and I will be so cranky about it for the rest of my life because that's how long he will hold on to that seat. That was a really long answer.
Well, no, but I mean, it gives really good perspective. Um, so you did mention that poll which came out, was it this morning or yesterday? That did have him pretty far up, but it also said that 46% of people were undecided, which, I mean, yeah, I guess he has 31%, but 46% is a lot.
Yeah,
And
and the DLGA, which is the Democratic Lieutenant Governors Association, they ran a poll with a subset of people that of the undecided people that are like, I don't know who any of these people are. They then told them about them. Like they brought them to their websites and they gave them,
Mm.
like a 5 minute talking to about each candidate that was
Yeah.
like pretty neutral. Wasn't what I just said. And they're like, here are the things Raja stands for, here are the things Juliana stands for, here's what Juliana has done, here's what Raja has done, like an objective, here are these two candidates. After people learned about the candidate, she polled like 90 points ahead of him. Like
Wow.
for people who know and can see the choice and make the distinction, but too often people will just go to the voting booth and hit the name that they saw. And he's the name that they're going to see because he has this war chest and he's just going to, buy every ad during every Bears game and every WGN thing. And those are the primary voters right now, right?
Yeah.
They're all people who are sitting in their Barca loungers watching commercial television. As of last week, I personally, as a 38-year-old who does not watch cable television, I had not seen a single Raja Krishnamurthy ad. If I didn't work in politics, I would not know who that person is. Like I
Mm.
could say his name at pickup. No one would know who that man is. So that's my hope. And we have to get Juliana's name in front of all those women and men, and we have to get them to the polls. And then I'll just finish up the Senate conversation with Robin Kelly, who is
Yeah,
vacating
that's
the seat in Illinois too. I have an endorsement for that race as well. She is an incredible person, great gun violence prevention advocate. Her campaign just like never really got off the ground. She didn't have the support and the excitement. She is in her 70s. And she is just a total spoiler candidate now at this point for Juliana. Like she has no statistical chance of winning. Apparently, she has a vendetta against Pritzker over some argument about
it's like
the
Democratic
state
Party chair or
party.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she won't drop out just because she hates Pritzker. And what bothers me so much about that is we have the opportunity to have for it, the first state in the history of our nation to send two women of color to the United States Senate at the same time.
Oh wow.
Like
Yeah.
as a woman of color, Robin, that's exciting. Like you're not going to win. If you see this, Robin, I love you so much. I love you so much. Please just drop out. If she dropped out, Juliana could win. And I know that she won't, but like stranger things have happened. Tim Walz just dropped out of the
Well,
governor.
yeah, like
Like,
crazy things have
so
happened. So
every person in Democratic politics in Illinois is like, she will not drop out. That is never going to happen. But I don't know. We could
never
try.
say never, I guess, right?
Never.
I mean, Raja's ads, yeah, they are all over cable TV, and I'm a political nerd, so I'm on cable TV sometimes, and I do
Yeah.
see his ads. I have not seen him on any of my streaming services. I've not seen him on YouTube. I've not seen him on, well, I started seeing him on Instagram, although I did in Madison, for whatever reason, in Wisconsin. I did
Huh.
get a class. Our professor was showing us a video about something, and Raja's ad showed up while I was in Wisconsin, and I was like texting every
Like a
Illinois
banner
person I knew.
ad?
No, like a full on like commercial, like I'm
Oh.
Raja, I'm running for US Senate and all that. And I was like, that's really interesting out here in Madison. But I've
That
never
is
seen
interesting.
Illinois.
Check like the IP address of that computer that he was on, or maybe his digital people are just bad, which wouldn't surprise me. He currently has, when he announced, he did not have an Instagram. He
Yeah.
is up. Last time I checked, he hadn't broken 1,000 followers. Now he's at 1,700, almost 1,800.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah, I
running for
mean, this
US
is
Senate,
not
I
our
guess.
this yeah, this is not our new media. I mean, that's pretty sad for somebody running for United States Senate. That
Yeah.
should actually be disqualifying. If you cannot communicate on the platform that
Hmm.
80% of Americans spend the majority of their time when they consume media, if you are not able to be native to that platform, speak in the vernacular of that platform, understand how to communicate and reach voters on that platform, like that should be disqualifying. Unfortunately, in a primary, it's not. I also
Yeah.
worry, like, Raj is not an exciting candidate. And by the way, I say all the time, like, we need to pay attention to the primary because the primary is the general. Who the F knows what's going to happen in this country in the next 7 or 8 months? Like, we get a bad candidate in there. We had not that long ago a Republican governor, and the
Oh,
person
yeah.
running the Senate and the Republican seat is pretty abysmal. Like, I don't see them, but you never know. Like, we need to work
Yeah.
and our 100% chance, best chance out there, and like could totally lose.
No, I mean that's crazy to think about, actually. But I guess one more question about the U.S. Senate race. So with Robin in, and probably staying in at this point, do you think that this is a Juliana Raja matchup, or do you think it's a three-way race right now, or do you think Raja is like in his own tier right now?
I mean, there's not a chance that Robin can win, but she will pull a significant amount of the vote. And like breaking down demographics and kind of putting our like political consultant hat on, a big area for Juliana that will decide the election is the south side of Chicago. So the other kind of voting blocks are pretty like stagnant in which candidates are going to receive which votes, and kind of the sway is the south side of Chicago. If the south side of Chicago and voters of color there were to vote in a block for one candidate, that candidate could beat Raja. Whether that's Robin Kelly, which it doesn't seem like it is, more likely that voting block will be split between those two women,
Mm.
and thus handing the victory to Raja. So, yeah, this is why, and as we kind of go into some of the congressional races, it's why the field matters so much and why kind of running for office is important, because even if you don't win, just having your name on the ballot changes the race. And unfortunately, in this case, it changes it for the, not for the better if you're us, if you're me.
Mm. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on it. We have 10 more weeks to go, 11 more weeks to go. So a lot can change at this point
Oh,
still.
I should also
And
say
there's,
Raja I kind of started to go into this with his money and got all angry. As you see, this race really heats me up. It came out that, as I said, it's very hard to raise $20 million for a seat like this. You have to ask a lot of people. You have to shake a lot of weird trees. And one of those weird trees is the CTO of Palantir. And if you don't know Palantir, they are the infrastructure and technology that the federal government is using to carry out these ICE raids, to find people, to basically like triangulate information on people. It's like in those weird spy movies where the guy from like, the 60s and 70s, where they could like type in a name and every single thing about the person would come up. That doesn't really exist until Palantir made it exist. And they're getting stronger and more kind of nefarious in the way they gather and triangulate and make searchable the data about every single person and turn that data over to the federal government. Palantir will be responsible for the downfall of society, and Raja is taking money from their chief technology officer. And if you don't think that that makes him beholden to that corporation, you're out of your mind. There will be, when we get power back in the House and hopefully the Senate, there will be so much oversight and so many votes about how we can just weaken ICE and weaken this administration through things like making it illegal to have for the federal government to have a contract with Palantir. How do you think Raj is going to vote on that? That would be, their stock price would go in the toilet. Like, so this guy has been maxing out to Raja for the last 10 years. And you're going to tell me that Raja is going to go in there and fight to dismantle Palantir and dismantle the relationship that the federal government has with this totally nefarious corporation? Not believing you. And he's like, I donated the money that he gave. I'm like, you're
yeah.
already in his pocket. Like, I don't care. And he goes, it's not that much money that he gave me. If you look at it, the percentage of how much I've raised, if it's not that much money, why'd you take it? You knew who he was. Every single person, every time if I donate $50 to a candidate, I have to write who my employer is. And they see that instantly. You see something you see a $3,500 check come through every year for 10 years from Palantir. Nobody thinks that that's a problem, because it's not a problem, because he's in bed with him. Okay, that's it on the
Yeah.
Senate.
Well, we'll be keeping an eye on it. And that story, I do remember covering that one. Yeah, I mean, they donated the money, never said where, but
Never said where.
never said where.
Yeah.
Well, Raja, if
Did
you
it
want to come
feel like
on, feel
Yeah,
free to
tell us
answer
where you donated
questions.
some money.
Feel free to come on, answer those questions. We'd love to talk. Well, let's move on to the congressional races. And I guess, and you have endorsements, so I want to hear the endorsed candidates.
Okay.
Uh, let's go in chronological order. Let's start with Illinois 2. That's the seat that Robin Kelly is going to be vacating.
Yes.
Who are you seeing over there?
Okay, so my pick for Illinois too. So this is all of Cook County, essentially south of the city. So
Hmm.
if you're in like the southeast suburbs, my pick is Donna Miller. She is the current Cook County commissioner for that like similar district. She's all of Cook County south of the city, and she is just the hardest working person in politics. She has made such incredible strides for women's health. She started a doula program in Cook County, which made it so that every single woman giving birth in a Cook County hospital had access to a doula. And if you aren't familiar with doula care or why that's important, the health inequities, especially amongst Black and Brown women, when it comes to maternal health, are just unbelievably terrible. We are the worst country in the world to give birth in,
Yeah.
especially if you are a Black or Brown woman. And what a doula does is they act as this bridge to our healthcare system. They listen to patients. Black and brown women, when they go in to deliver, they don't listen to them about how much pain they're in. They don't listen to them about their symptoms that are often indicative of preeclampsia and like really, really deadly things that like you go into the hospital, a healthy woman in her 30s, and you don't leave. Our maternal mortality rate in Cook County was like that of undeveloped countries
Yeah.
when it comes to Black and brown women. So she really looked at this, and she isn't just one of these politicians that says, this is really bad and I'm going to run on this. And I, as a Black woman, am going to talk about, Black maternal health care. She went and got it done. She got $1 million in funding so that every woman could have a healthcare advocate who has witnessed hundreds of births and knows how to, you really have to advocate for yourself. If you've ever been
Yeah.
in the hospital, I've given birth, I've had a doula. I can't imagine doing it without them. They were the person saying, hey, when the doctor comes in, say these 5 words in this order and they will listen to you. And I just think it's just this incredible program. And she is going to take that kind of can-do attitude to Congress. She's not going to just talk about problems. She is a doer. She is a get the working group, get the legislation written, get the legislation passed, find the experts, have the hearing. I just can't say enough things about she's like the gold standard of how every politician should work and be. Her two opponents just are like complete do nothing Democrats. One of them is in the Illinois General Assembly. If you've ever heard me talk about pretty much anyone in the Illinois General Assembly, I'm not a fan. They don't do anything. And he would be more of the same on that.
Tell us about Illinois 7. I know that there's like a billion people running over there. Who is
Yeah.
your pick?
So speaking of healthcare and speaking of people who kind of, I mean, I feel like in so many ways this has just been weaved into all the topics that we've been talking about throughout this podcast. It's like one of the most important tasks of our federal government right now. I just attended a fundraiser last night with Thomas Fisher, who is my pick for Illinois 7. He is an ER doc. He works in the district. I heard him speak last night and was moved to tears multiple times, hearing the experience that he has with the vast population of people in his district. There are not a lot of people who are running for office who can speak intimately about the everyday lives of so many different groups in their district. But guess where all those people come? The
Hmm.
emergency room. It's like the great equalizer. His district runs from Streeterville to East Garfield Park. And from those two very different neighborhoods, there is a 20-year difference in life expectancy. And he just talked about how these structural choices of our state, local, and federal government results in those differences. That the care, environmental opportunities. He talked a lot about COVID. He talked a lot about how he just saw, again, Black and brown people in his district die at a much higher rate. 40, it was his district is a third Black, but 40% of the deaths in the first 2 years of COVID were from the Black community because they were people who were having to work frontline jobs, stock shelves, and then go back to multi-generational households. Their parents were getting sick, and just he understands those challenges. I say this so often that the people that work in politics and the people that run for office are not people who have had food insecurity in their life, who have not been able to see a doctor when they're sick. Yes, they might know that that problem exists and care deeply about that, but they have not experienced it themselves, and they have not spent time every single day with people for whom that is their
Mhm.
reality. And I just sitting there felt like we need more doctors and we need more people who have like taken an oath to help people in our political system. He's really smart. He has expertise across a variety of policy issues, not just healthcare. Illinois 7, vote for Thomas Fisher.
I mean, healthcare is really important anyway. So to have like a doctor like that is always something that I think we can all appreciate, really. I mean,
Yeah.
even
And
I've been
listen,
covering like what you were saying.
oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say with, the ACA, oh, also I should say Lauren Underwood endorsed Thomas Fisher. So
Oh,
Lauren
that's an
Underwood,
important detail.
yes, Lauren Underwood last night just had her ACA extension bill passed. It was amazing. I was watching it on C-SPAN and she like did a dance. I mean, to
Yeah.
see a Democrat do a dance these days. And a happy dance is rare. So we have extended the ACA subsidies. She pushed extremely hard for that. Hopefully it will pass in the Senate. But this is not over. This was a small extension. We have a healthcare crisis. Republicans are trying to dismantle the ACA. They don't like it. We have these for-profit insurance companies that just keep growing bigger. Like we need complete structural overhaul of our healthcare system in this country now, and we need experts in Congress doing that. And that's why Thomas Fisher and Donna Miller, for that matter, are my pick.
Sounds good. Let's move over to Illinois 8. This is a race that I've been covering pretty closely. Got a chance to speak to all candidates. Not all of them have been on the show yet. And I think that might warrant some interesting discussions anyway. But tell us, who's your pick for Illinois 8?
Kevin Morrison is my pick. He is the current Cook County Commissioner in the district
Yeah.
around area west of the city. He is just what I love about Kevin is that he is the type of politician that doesn't feel like a politician. I often talk about this thing. There's like this line with people that are either in office or running for office. I say that some of them, this might be an older reference for your audience. If you guys ever saw the movie Stepford Wives, where they like program these kind of like feminine robots to like serve their husbands and be
Oh,
perfect
yeah.
wives. Yeah. And they just like, yeah, so they go and they like lobotomize them and make them robots. I find a lot of politicians to even Democratic politicians to be like that. They cannot speak in a way that feels authentic, in a way that feels like they're actually listening to the people who they claim they want to serve, that they just are kind of like dead behind the eyes and are saying the things, again, not any of the people that I endorse, of course, but
Mhm.
that they're saying the things that they think they're supposed to say, that they've been doing this for so long, they've been stumping for so long, they've been, you watch them in these rooms with consultants where they like parse out every word and they just strip them of their humanity. And they're like, oh, don't say that could maybe make this group of people angry. Or, well, you got to think about how that could make, and it just makes them not react like a normal person. And they get this like dead behind their eyes robot look. I think Kevin is the antithesis of that. He's very genuine, cares a lot about the people in his district, has done a great job as county commissioner, and I'm excited to see him in Congress.
Well, for viewers, I'm just going to put in a quick little plug. I don't know when this will come out, probably on Monday or Tuesday. This Thursday, you will get to hear live from Kevin and all of the candidates running for Illinois 08. I am going to be moderating a special congressional primary debate. We're very excited for that. You can still probably RSVP by the time this is out, but it'll close on Wednesday. So don't forget to RSVP. You'll get to hear live from Kevin and all the other candidates. Okay, so that was Illinois 8. The next one is Illinois 9, which I believe you are a constituent in. So this is the one that I'm sure you have been paying attention to the most. This is a gigantic field of candidates. Like, whoa. I've been hesitant about
Um,
starting interviews here because I was worried like once you start one, you got to get
right.
through all of them. But there's so many to pick from.
This is a good plug for why we need ranked choice voting in Illinois,
Yeah.
because you have these giant fields and you have somebody commented on my post where I was kind of breaking down the different candidates. They said, I wish I was voting between these four candidates, but instead I'm going to have to vote between these three candidates or make a choice between these three candidates because they're the front runner. And it's really interesting. It's like, and that's a great case for ranked choice voting. What's most interesting about Illinois 9 is where the money is coming from and who is funding these different candidates. So this is my home district. I live here. I grew up here. I know the district intimately. I have worked with a number of people who are running in my capacity as a gun violence prevention advocate. So I feel that I have a really intimate knowledge of who these people are and how they work. I also think there are some like newer candidates to the race that I think have a great like lifelong career here and are incredible workers. And but because of how much money there is in this race that's coming from outside the district and outside the state, their campaign is just not viable and it's unfortunate. So I will start with who I wish the top four candidates were. I wish the top four candidates that everyone could be choosing between were Daniel Biss, Han Nguyen, Mike Simmons, and Bushra Amiwala. And
Amiwal, yeah.
Amiwala. I love Bushra. She's like your age. I think
And she's a few years older, but yeah.
she's like she's in her 20s. She if we had ranked choice voting, she would be my number two. She's a great community organizer. She ran for school board really young.
Mhm.
Um, and she's just like a really nice person. I really like her, and she's like great on the internet.
Yeah.
My pick for but just unfortunately, because of the way that this race has solidified and who the two other front runners are that have been getting all of this out of state money, she doesn't have a chance at kind of breaking into the top three. I also think Mike Simmons is just like a cool guy. He's a current Illinois General Assembly rep and might be the one person in that entire body that I don't hate. Win as well. I like him. Okay, maybe I do like a couple people. So let's talk about who the actual front runners are. So the actual front runners are Daniel Biss. He's polling the highest. He was just endorsed by Jan Schakowsky, who currently holds the seat. He was also endorsed by Elizabeth Warren. Then we have Kat Abu-Ghazali. She is an influencer who moved here last year. You can look at her Instagram when she put up a post that was like, my first snow in Chicago. Like, you don't live here. And then the third person is Laura Fine, who's the current state senator in our district here that is composed of Evanston, Skokie, Wilmette, Glenview, a little bit of the northwest suburbs as well. I've worked with Laura Fine on gun violence prevention, and my thing that I say about Laura Fine is that she is her name. She is fine. I've like sat in her office and asked her to fight and be our like representative, like you represent me. Here are 10 people in your office saying pass this common sense piece of gun violence prevention legislation. Go and be our fighter. And just like as I was talking about with Dick Durbin, she doesn't spend political capital. Like if it's not if it's just easier for politicians to say no or to just kind of go along to get along, focus on fundraising, focus on your next move. She doesn't like to do things because when you do things, it makes somebody mad, whether that's the NRA or the ISP or whomever. There is anytime you pass a law or fight for something, there is bound to be an equal and opposite reaction. And so then
Yeah.
this kind of brings me to why I endorse Daniel Biss. He was in the Illinois General Assembly under Mike Madigan. So for anyone, again, I'm like thinking of your audience was like
Oh,
in
they know Mike
you
Madigan.
know Mike Madigan. Okay.
Yeah.
He was a extremely corrupt man. He is currently in prison. He was the Speaker of the House for the Illinois General Assembly for decades, and he ruled that place with an iron fist. So Daniel Bass tells a story of every single morning he would get a piece of paper from the Speaker of the House with all the bills. So there were three columns: bill number, how to vote, and why. And in the middle column, every single bill would say no. And that was just the thing, like, don't make waves, don't piss anyone off. And these are like things we need, things that we should have as a state that has had a supermajority and a Democratic governor. Like, we don't have universal pre-K. We don't have universal childcare. We don't have paid family leave. It is not like universal across the state. We don't have free breakfast and lunch. We don't have like foundational basics. We didn't have an assault weapons ban until we
Right.
had a tragic, horrible shooting.
Yeah.
We didn't have a good universal background checks bill. We just passed a safe storage bill that absolutely is not written worth the piece of paper it's written on. And this is just like the ethos of the Illinois General Assembly. Daniel Bass was like kind of a maverick there. He didn't listen to Madigan. He fought with him every single day. He voted his conscience and he voted the way that he wanted people to, the way that he knew his constituents wanted him to, not the way Mike Madigan wanted him to. Then he became mayor of Evanston, and there was all this drama about the Northwestern Stadium. He was able to renegotiate the financial relationship that Northwestern and the city of Evanston had that hadn't been touched in 150 years. And one of the ways that he was able to do that was allowing them to rebuild their stadium, a smaller stadium than the one that they
Mhm.
currently have, but allowing
Yeah.
them to do 6 concerts a year. And all these NIMBY people in Evanston got very angry that there's going to be loud teenage music, the rock music. It's like, come on. Have, like, I've been to an Ohio State game day. I'm pretty sure any concert
Yeah.
you have is going to be more chill than that shit show.
That.
So
Hmm.
it's just this sticking point. People love to be angry and love to hold on to anything, but I think that he has incredible moral clarity. I think he is the type of politician that says, do it, make people's lives better, and don't just be thinking about the political consequences. He really resonated with me as a candidate for those reasons. He is the type of person we need in Washington in this moment to stand up to the Trump administration. You've probably seen he's been going toe to toe with Greg Bovino, with ICE agents. He doesn't just talk about that this is a problem. When danger happens in his city, he runs towards it. And he has taken steps to like physically do things. Like he physically took down these cameras in the city of Evanston. So there were these cameras in Evanston that ICE was like getting the data from because it was a private company that they hired to install them
Hmm.
and to like monitor them. And the federal government like subpoenaed or instructed that private company to give them the data and give them the footage.
Oh,
The city of Evanston said, no, we
right.
paid you to put those cameras there. You don't get to give that footage to anyone. We're the client. And the private company said, no, they're the federal government. We're giving it to them. So literally, he had people go up on ladders and take the cameras down. You know what they did? They came and they put them back up. And you know what he did? He came and he physically took them back down. Like he is putting his money, his body, and his where his mouth is. I'm really inspired by him. I feel like I haven't been as excited about a politician or somebody running for office in a really long time. If you want to get involved in his campaign, please reach out to me. I think between the Jan Schakowsky endorsement and just the success and the momentum that his campaign has had in the last couple of weeks, I have a lot of hope for this seat. I am an influencer and I am all about having exciting people run for office, but like Kat, it's not that she just doesn't live here. She hasn't made an effort to build bridges and learn about who actually lives here. Like she's hosting an
Mhm.
influencer event next weekend. She's flying in all of these influencers. I'm like, we got influencers here, girl. You just gotta like meet them. Um,
Yeah.
it's just,
True.
I think it will be very similar to when Deja Fox ran in Arizona. So
Yeah.
Deja Fox was like, she's an influencer. She was great on social media. She had like a bunch of celebrity friends and she, was posting all the time. And this is my lesson to candidates. Like, it's not just enough anymore for you to be a star on social media. We don't need you making TikToks. We need people making TikToks about you. It's the voices of the people in the community that have built trust and respect and a following. That's who you need to be your endorsers and your ambassadors. It's a fascinating race to watch. And then I'll just kind of circle back to the money of it all. Cat is funded primarily by out of state, like progressive donors. Although Daniel Biss and Jan Schakowsky are like the most progressive people ever.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren endorsed Daniel Biss. Like this is like the extremely progressive portion of our party. And it's just like really funny when Kat says things like, oh, like they're the establishment. And then they're progressive. And so do my comments was like, they're establishment progressives. I'm like, that's not a thing. That's an oxymoron. That's not a thing. They're not establishment progressive. They're progressives. They want universal basic income. They want Medicare for all. They want like the policies that are considered like the most liberal, the most progressive in our spectrum of being in the Democratic Party, and they will fight for them and they will get them done. They're extremely, you know, extremely progressive on climate policy, all of the things. So, yeah, all this to say that there are certain like groups around the country that just kind of like want to break things for the sake of breaking them, even though like yeah, there is probably a congressional district somewhere where, yeah, get a really young progressive person in there and shake up some boring establishment Democrat. Like, this isn't that. We have this amazing, non boring, non establishment Democrat who should win. And when Kat originally picked this as a place to run, she did not know that Jan Schakowsky was
Yeah.
going to her. She wanted it to be this tension of like, I'm primary and octogenarian. And also, like, her boyfriend lives in Streeterville. So it was kind of like a like, oh, I'm moving with my boyfriend and primary this person. That'll be fun. And it just shows how little she knew about the district because everyone and their mother knew that Jan Schakowsky was retiring. She truly didn't.
Hmm.
She got money from people that spend their money poorly that from all over the country. Laura Fine gets her money primarily from APAC and APAC donors. So she originally came into this race and said that she wasn't taking APAC money. And then as she saw the way the field was kind of playing out, she went back on that. And while I don't think she has taken money directly from the PAC, although recently somebody told me that no, she did, and that will come out in the Q4 filings. She went to a fundraiser with their board president. She has been in California for the last 3 months raising from APAC donors. I do think that the phrase like APAC funded has become weaponized and can be interpreted as anti-Semitic, especially online. Like that, we could do an entire show just on
Hmm.
that. But she
Yeah.
actually is APAC funded. Like they will call anyone, like super far left people will basically call anyone APAC funded, whether they are or not. She actually is. And it's concerning. That's where her, who she'll be beholden to and where her like priorities will lie when she gets to Congress. And again, like she's not a fighter. She doesn't boldly champion legislation. I want somebody to go in there and start writing bills on day one. Even though we won't have power, it takes years and years and years to make working groups, to have lawyers, like make sure bills won't be
Hmm.
overturned. Like if we want certain policies passed, this is a nerd and he will go in there and work. And that's what I want. I want my legislators legislating.
I mean, that amazing analysis of the race. I mean, we had Paige Fullman. She runs the Current Affairs Unfiltered podcast based out of
Oh, love her. Yes.
Wilmette, I think. But
Okay.
she was also, we were talking about the ninth district race, and it's pretty much exactly along the lines of what we said. And I think it's pretty clear where the race is, honestly, in my view. That Schakowsky endorsement is like amazing for
It's
Daniel Biss.
amazing. It's really great. It's not like a foregone conclusion that the person exiting the seat would endorse. A lot of times they like to
Hmm.
remain neutral to kind of like sort of keep their legacy intact. And it's like if you're as popular as Jan is, like you want to go out on a high note. Like everybody loves her. And of course, anytime you take a stand in politics, people have thoughts and feelings either way. And what I found most interesting was the reaction from the other candidates. So it was
Yeah.
unusual for for her to endorse, and I think that speaks to how important this race is and the distinction that she saw between the top candidates and how urgent she felt her endorsement was. So that's unusual. It's also extremely unusual for the other top people in the race to make a comment. Like they should have been talking about anything else. They should have been talking about the weather. It also happened the day a woman was fucking shot in the face by ICE. Like they could have said nothing and just hoped that by them commenting, just more people see it. Like, do you guys not know how the internet works? Um, Even like Kat, she made a comment about the endorsement. She said something like, establishment endorses establishment. Then
Hmm.
this put out a tweet about the shooting. And he wrote, just like in Chicago, they are lying to you. This is a murder and they're lying to you. When the facts of this case come out, we will be able to hold them accountable. She clipped just when the facts of this case come out, we will be able to hold them accountable. And like subtweeted that and was like, what do you mean? They shot her in the face. What do you mean you have to wait for the facts to come out? Like he's clearly saying, he literally goes, this is a murder. And we will be able to put this man in jail when we have his body cam footage. It
Hmm.
was just such bad faith. It was so yucky. Wednesday was just such a hard day. As a 37-year-old mom who drives her car after ICE agents, like watching them shoot someone in the face, you're like, damn, they they're going to shoot me in the face, aren't they? It was just a weird fucking day for everyone. And like, I want my representatives, people, I want you guys, I want Kat and Biss standing out there at a gas station arm in arm against Bavino, not like clipping things to like, it's just such a fucking cheap shot. And I kind of thought she was better than that. But as I said to my friend who has worked in politics for a long time, I'm like, she wasn't my pick, but I thought she was better than that. He's like, no one's better than that. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Although he didn't say anything back to her.
Well,
So yeah. And
classy.
by the way, when she name checked him on that, it just drove more people to his page who were then like, wait, this Democrat is saying, what is he saying? And then they're like, oh, she is lying about what he's saying. I'm going to follow this guy. So it backfires, all that to say. And yeah,
Hmm.
Laura Fine had something to say about it. Somebody else in the race was like, he's no Jan Schakowsky. Like everybody behaved like toddlers, which just shows me how important that was, how well respected and loved she is in this community, what her endorsement means. She's our queen. She wrote the ACA. She is like a feminist icon, and her endorsement means everything.
Well, that's a great look at Illinois 9. I mean, that is probably the race, other than, of course, Illinois 8. I'm a constituent out here. But other than that, Illinois 9 is the one I've been keeping a very close eye on. And so I'm curious to see how it turns out, although I feel like we're beginning to trend in that
You
direction
never know. I
for
mean, ACAT
this.
could
I mean, I guess you
literally
never
come
know.
in and they could spend millions of dollars and plaster Laura's face everywhere. And like, Kat's a total wild card. She does seem to be kind of imploding a little bit, but like, you never know. So get out there. I actually was on the phone with this supporter and like big funder, and I'm talking about like, oh, like I want to do this. I want to get influencers out for him, and I want to knock doors. And we're thinking about open canvassing at concerts, like in March leading up to the primaries, just like different ways to reach
Hmm.
people that are not in our political bubble. And the guy's like, yeah, but like he's gonna win. It's fine. I'm like, no, not necessarily. And like,
Don't take it for granted.
don't take your eye off the prize. Like, what? No.
Mm.
Every race is. I was just watching the Zoran documentary, and he got like two bad exit polls. I mean, he won decisively.
Yeah.
And you watched him watching the returns, and he was like, I mean, it is never over. And the last poll pre-Schakowsky endorsement had Biss and Kat neck and neck, and Kat will outraise Biss by a significant amount, as will
Mm.
Laura Fine, for Q4. Now, like things are trending in the right direction, but don't sleep on this race, people. It ain't over till it's
Very
over.
important. It ain't over until it's over. They're very true. I know we're running a little bit short on time now, but I did want to get real quick. your endorsement for the state controller's race. I know that's a race that's not gotten a lot of love,
I
and I think we should be talking about it a lot more.
Mostly because people don't know what it does. I had to have the candidate explain it to me. I'm still not sure. It is financial oversight. The comptroller, it's a statewide race. They are basically they sign the checks or they
Yes.
yes.
Yeah,
There's
they
one
sign the checks.
yeah. There's one statewide, I think it's the treasurer that deals with all the incoming money. They deal with all the outgoing money. This is the person that protects our state from fraud and corruption. And if you've lived in Illinois, those are two things that we do really well, especially when it comes to money. They are like the watchdog, and having somebody in that race that has a strong moral compass and is also a nerd and understands like the math of it all of dealing with our multi-billion-dollar budget. My pick for that is Holly Kim. She's very young. She is an incredibly hard worker. She's been crisscrossing the state trying to meet with as many different types of constituencies and people as possible, which is not often something you see from a comptroller, mostly because it's like an unrecognizable office. But there's a reason that it's not an appointed office is because it is supposed to be reflective of our entire state and the will of the people. And she takes that very seriously. She has a great attitude towards new media. I don't know if you've had her on,
Oh
but
yeah, I have. She's great
awesome.
about that stuff.
She's really great. So yeah, she's my pick, but vote Holly Kim.
Yeah, I mean, Holly is of all the races, I've tried to be objective, but this is one of those races where she is a friend and she is doing great work. And I mean, we'll be keeping an eye. It's very close. I
It
just found
is.
out that I thought there were four candidates, and then last night, one of her people told me that there's six now. Um, I didn't know that, but I guess two of them don't matter. That's
Okay.
what they said. But it seems to be a really close race right now. So
This is
all hands
also
up.
one that people often leave blank because they see
Yes.
the word, they don't know what it means, they don't know what it does, and we Democrats roll off, which means leaving things blank on your ballot at a in exact inverse stat as Republicans. So it's something
Hmm.
like 90% of Republicans will fill out their entire ballot and will just guess. 10% of Democrats will fill out their entire ballot because when we get to something we don't know, we're like, well, I don't know. I don't want to pick the wrong person. Let me just leave it blank. And I don't want you to pick the wrong person either. I don't want you to be a Republican that just randomly guesses. But there are so many resources out there, Sway, Ballotpedia, your local newspaper, us. You can DM me. I can help you find your ballot. Like, go to the polls armed so you can look up your ballot. Those platforms that I just mentioned, particularly Sway, you can go in, you type in your address, your ballot comes up, you can see me, Ishan, political influencers that you follow, other electeds and like Democrats that have made endorsements. You can see who they've endorsed. You can see what different voting groups like North Shore Liberal Moms have endorsed Holly Kim for comptroller. So not only do you see who's on your ballot, but you can see what other politically active people in your community are thinking and saying. Those people can also like give you reasons why and do videos. So it is something that on March 16th could take you less than an hour, but go into that voting booth fully armed with every single office that's on your ballot. As I was working through my Sway profile or my Sway voter guide, there are things like water reclamation. I am not
Mhm.
sure what that is or what that does. I will find out. I will talk to the people. I will make an endorsement and recommendation and give you my why. And like, I hope you do too. Let's make 2026 the year that we blow it out of the water with the number of people who vote in this primary election and no blanks. Let's vote for every office.
Let's do it. Well, Liz, we are running out of time here for our interview. So before we do wrap up, I mean, that was a really good message that you just had, but are there any other parting thoughts that you wanted to share with the audience?
Just like get excited. There are so few times in our democracy where we can be excited and enthused about something. And, even if my picks don't win, I will feel like so elated on March 18th if we've just had an enormous, unprecedented, historical showing of voters. And that's democracy dies in darkness. Whatever you can do to bring more people into our political system, get them voting, like this is your civic responsibility. What a privilege. What a privilege that could be going away. Okay. So this needs to be something that we hold as sacred. Every office, every primary, I still believe, live in the greatest country of the world because we do have the ability to make our voices heard, to organize, to tell you, to do this, to talk about our
Yeah.
opinions, talk about your opinions, exercise these rights, don't take them for granted. March 17th, Illinois, I'll see you at the polls.
Liz Minnella, thank you so much. As always, we'd love to have you back on. I think the conversation is always ongoing. Like we got to keep talking.
Yes, likewise. Yep, you got to come on Dumplin' soon. We'll do a
Absolutely.
pop.
Let's do it.
I'll hear
Thank
your
you so
endorsement.
much.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay.